Days 94 and 95, Georgia. So I started my day off in the parking lot of Cracker Barrel in Kingsville, Georgia, with someone walking on the roof of my car. And it took me a few seconds after I woke up just to get my bearings, and I realized, well, it can't be a person because the roof would be caving in and I would feel someone climbing on top. So I opened the door and peeked out, and it was this vulture, huge ass vulture bird, probably flew off from the dumpsters behind the restaurant and just stomping around on the roof, but it sounded and felt like it was actually a person walking on it. So in the morning, I made my way to Savannah, Georgia, and I absolutely loved it. The city has this special feel to it. It's not just beauty. I mean, it's pretty, but it's not like drop dead beautiful, but it has this special kind of charm and poise to it that I haven't seen anyplace else. So I walked through the beautiful Forsyth Park, and I just absolutely love the Spanish oak trees, southern oak trees with the Spanish moss hanging down from them. And then as you slowly make your way towards the riverbank, you pass a synagogue, which apparently is one of the oldest synagogues and oldest congregations in the United States. And then you pass the famous Savannah squares, and each square has a whole bunch of statues and monuments and memorial plaques, and it's dedicated to historical characters that played a big part either in the history of the city or the history of the South or the history of the country. And of course, the famous Chippewa Square, where a good deal of the Forrest Gump movie takes place. Now, the famous bench on which Forrest Gump sat is not actually on the square. It was a prop for the movie, and now it sits in a museum someplace. But it was still fun to walk around and to recognize all the angles from which the movie was shot. And it was also Halloween, so there was this cutest couple that was dressed as Jenny and Forrest, and people were like asking to take pictures with them. And then you make it to the boardwalk, and on the way you pass a whole bunch of historical sites and markers and buildings. And the riverbank itself is very nice, and I didn't realize that Savannah still is a very big port. So you pass a monument to the Olympic flame that was carried through Savannah, and to the girl who is said to have greeted every ship that came into the harbor. And then you pass a very touching monument to the African Americans that were brought into Savannah for slave trade and traded on its markets. So again, it was a very nice Sunday morning spent in a beautiful city. And if you're ever around Savannah, Georgia, it is definitely a place that is very much worth visiting. I did was actually cross into South Carolina, because what I wanted to do is to get on the interstate and enter Georgia again, because I was hunting for the Georgia is on my mind sign. So I crossed into South Carolina, into their visitor center, and then I got on the interstate and I crossed back into Georgia, into their beautiful visitor center. They did not have Georgia on my mind sign, but look who it did have, my old good friend Forrest Gump. So after taking a few pictures with him, I continued on to a little town of Vidalia, Georgia, where I spent a great rest of the day and overnighted with my friend Sharon that I met back in Wisconsin on Lake Superior. And then on the morning of day 95, I started off northwest towards the Great Smoky Mountains and the great state of North Carolina. And on the way, I passed these never-ending cotton fields. And so I absolutely had to get out and take a picture and just pick a little bud of cotton to keep as a memento. And then you keep on driving. And soon enough, after many, many miles of beautiful Georgia forests, and Georgia has forests, you start seeing glimpses of the mountains further ahead on the road, and they really look kind of smoky from a distance. So the road took me to a very nice little town of Asheville, North Carolina, where I visited the Pisgah National Forest, which is very funny because Pisgah is a Hebrew word and it means mountain summit, mountaintop. And there I was getting ready for my new adventure in the Great Smoky Mountains.